African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for another incredible session of the African Father in America podcast. My name is Simon Javan Okello, and I am in Seattle, Washington. I'm really excited about today's show, especially because I have an incredible, artist and someone that I consider a trendsetter who is joining us all the way from Nairobi. We have the Only Rosa, who is an incredible artist. The Only Rosa just dropped, her first album that has 10 tracks. Rosa, it has 10 tracks, right? Just want to make sure.
Yes, it's 10 tracks.
Yeah, and I was just, listening to one of your tunes that you featured, Bien, and I also saw that in all songs in your album, you've written all the songs in your album, so you're just multi-talented. I want to talk about all that, but go ahead and say hi to everyone who is joining us before we continue on with our conversation.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rosalie, also known as the Only Rosa, and I'm so excited to be on this show today and especially to talk to Simon. So, this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, the Only Rosa, for making the time. I feel lucky that we were able to connect, and I know that whenever we gather here for the African Father in America podcast, we talk about African proverbs, but really the African culture is incomplete without music, and I feel privileged that we are talking to you, who is someone who really puts in the African language, especially Luo language, in your music. And first, I want to hear what your thoughts are in regards to today's proverb, and then I want us to talk about some of the projects that you're working on currently. I know you are literally at the location of one of your shoots as we speak. So, we are going to keep you for less than 30 minutes if possible, and then we'll let you go. For those who are joining us on... Perfect. For those who are joining us on YouTube, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and you subscribe to the channel. And I want to go quickly to today's proverb. Our proverb today is from Uganda, just next door to Kenya. And it says that when you befriend a chief, remember that he sits on a rope. When you befriend a chief, remember that he sits on a rope. I want to quickly share the 3 nuggets of wisdom that my team and I prepared for today's show that were inspired by this proverb. Let me just grab them here. While I find them, I actually want to share with you the structure of the show, how the show is going to go today. We are going to learn a little bit more about this proverb, and then we are going to go a little deeper into what the Only Rosa thinks this proverb means. And then after that, you're going to learn about the Only Rosa's Rosaland, which is her incredible first album. And she's going to talk about the tracks in the album. If you have another device and you want to sample some of the tracks, I would love for you to do that if you want. But later on, we'll do an edit just with more about your music. So, actually, Rosa, I want to jump into just asking you, when you saw this proverb, what is it that came to your mind? It says that when you befriend a chief, remember that he also sits on a rope.
I think, first of all, it's such an interesting proverb. But the first thing I could think of was, I think it talks about humility, because you know how, especially here in Africa, I know it happens everywhere, where once you know this one person who's powerful or a leader in any form or shape, then you really want to be attached to them, or you want to be a part of whatever they are doing. But something I guess we often forget is that they are also subjects to the rules and regulations of the society that we live in. So as much as we probably want to misuse the powers that the chief has, you need to remember that the chief is also serving other people. And so I guess that's what's meant by the rope. So he's also sitting on a rope. Meaning it's very easy to fall off the rope. It's not as though he's going to be there forever. A little shake like this or anything that's inappropriate, and he could as well just not be a chief anymore. So I think it teaches us on humility.
I love that. I love what you just said, and I don't even need to say anything else about this proverb because you nailed it. And it's true. It's true that this proverb is speaking about humility and also knowing how vulnerable we are. Even if we think about our parents, sometimes we think that they are going to be around forever. We are going to have the support, the network they give us, and then something happens. Then we realize that the chief was sitting on a rope. So
exactly, that's really good.
Yeah. So I want to welcome Timibi and Nate and Brother Earth and Natasha, everyone joining us on Clubhouse. Thank you so much. I added the link to the live stream at the top of the Clubhouse room, and I want you to come and see the face of the only Rosa, who is an incredible artist. I'm honestly saying that she's going to be a big deal, and you guys need to, tap in right now before it becomes even harder to have an interview with someone like Rosa. I think we just lost Rosa here for a moment, but if you're joining us, I love being here for the daily African Proverbs, and bringing guests is also something that I value. And Rosa is an uprising artist in Kenya. She just began a craft not too long ago, and she's already collaborating with Befriend from Sauti Sol, and Sauti Sol are amongst the biggest names in the African music scene at the moment. So I hope that she gets back. She was literally at the location of the shoot of one of her videos, so she is probably struggling with internet connection. But seeing you all here means a lot. I have been doing the African Father in America podcast for a little over 2 years now, and it's just been so beautiful. So without your presence, this is not possible. So the proverb we are discussing today says that when you befriend a chief, remember that he sits on a rope. And Rosa shared with us really some incredible insights that this proverb teaches us about humility and knowing that nothing is really permanent. But I want to share 3 nuggets that my team and I prepared for you today. And the first one says that don't forget your roots. Don't forget your roots. And the second one says that be cautious with who you trust. And then the last one says that respect those in positions of authority. I'm going to bring back Rosa here now to join us for the rest of the conversation. And I want to just recognize Emmanuel. I think this is Emmanuel Dolo. I'm not sure, but Emmanuel, welcome. And Queen and Paris, you are all welcome. This is a great space where you can also contribute your voice. Timibi, I would love to hear how you're doing. Join me on the stage whenever you can. Hey, Rosa. I'll bring you back here real quick.
Hey, Simon, you wouldn't believe what just happened.
Tell me. I want to know all about it.
So you guys wouldn't believe what just happened.
What is it? What happened?
It's been so hot in Nairobi.
Yeah.
It's been so hot. I think it's almost like a heat wave at this point. And so my phone just brought a sign of overheating.
Yeah.
And it just went off.
Oh. Well, I'm glad you're back. I thought that something terrible had happened, but yeah, that one we can understand.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm glad you're just fine, and we can always. I would actually love to have you on the show a few other times, but I want to create space for you so that you can share a little more before your phone overheats again, especially because of what's going on in Nairobi. Can you say something? I want to make sure you're audible, Rosa. Are you there?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now. Hey, Hey, Rosa. So, a lot of the time when I do the African Father in America podcast, I ask all my guests a question in regards to their childhood, something that happened when they were younger that really drives who they are, whether it's as a leader, an artist like you, or an entrepreneur. And I always share my own story. I grew up in Manyata in Kisumu, Kenya, and at 8 my mother gave me a bike, and I began distributing milk and bread in our neighborhood. I was just one of many other people that were helping her with the business. She was an entrepreneur, a hardworking lady. And so those days shape who I am. That's why I do this show early in the morning. That's why I'm actually a full-time father. I have 3 little girls, and I work for myself. I worked in corporate America for a while, and now all of these things are not easy here in the US. To work for yourself, to be a full-time father, they're dream opportunities. And all of this, I actually give credit to those years working closely with my mother and hustling in the slums in Kenya. So I want you to think about a story similar to that, because what you've just done with your album, Rosaland, many artists can't do. So where did the courage come from? I can't
That's
hear you,
always
but I
at the
see
back
you.
of my mind
Oh,
is,
nice.
first of all, I was raised. Me,
Now I hear you.
no,
Now
can
I
you
hear
hear
you.
me now?
Yes, yes, yes. Now I hear you. Keep going.
Okay, so I was raised by a single mom for most of my life. It was very, he was there, but in a distant way. And so for most of my life, I had to watch my mom work hard for us to have the things that we have. And she's one of those moms. She would literally be at work every single day from like 6 in the morning to like 10 in the evening. But then one thing that I always noticed with her is, as much as she used to tell us, go to school, blah, 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 we used to always have to study hard. You have to be top 3 and all that. But she always encouraged us to be creative. And I used to feel as though if I wanted to do something to do with music, she would get me an instrument. If I wanted to start learning guitar, she'd buy me a guitar. If I said I wanted to now start baking, she would buy me stuff to bake with. And I think that's something that really inspired me, because seeing someone who is so successful in her own career, as she's a lawyer, and her being a lawyer, but yet still being so devoted to nurturing her daughter's creative side, I think it really inspired me. So even to this day, when I'm making music, like I always know that what I'm doing is not for myself. Music, art, those are all things that no matter what generation you're in, how old you are, it's very precious. It's very precious to whoever listens or sees or interacts with your work. And so yeah, I think that's something that's always inspired me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I love that. I love the story you shared with us. And I just want to welcome everyone who is joining us for today's show. I'm really privileged to be hosting the only Rosa, who is joining us all the way from Nairobi. And I want to invite you, if you're listening on Clubhouse, join us on the stage so that we can hear your voice later on. Currently, we are listening to our guests. We are listening to stories, and now we want to move on to really, Rosa, there's something that you've accomplished recently that I think is a big deal for me, as someone who has worked with artists, as an artist myself, and as someone who produces the biggest African festival here in the Pacific Northwest, Madaraka Festival. You dropped an album, and it's quality work that you did, and you've also worked with some of the biggest artists that are most challenging to work with. And I feel that you moved some mountains here. So I want you to speak about it. Break down your album for us. Tell us about why Rosaland is the name that you chose. Just tell us everything about it. I suspect that we must have lost Rosa again. I think there are network issues, or maybe even her phone went off as she was suggesting. But I hope you're all enjoying the conversation that we are having here today. Our conversation is centered around, this Ugandan proverb that says that when you befriend a chief, remember that he sits on a rope. When you befriend a chief, remember that he sits on a rope. And, Rosa shared her own interpretation of this proverb earlier on. And, I also briefly shared the 3 nuggets that we prepared for you. But I want to just invite thoughts, just brief thoughts from Rosa is back. You're just going to bear with me and stay with me while we make this happen. So please take a moment and share the link to the room if you're on Clubhouse, and also if you're joining us on YouTube, remember to subscribe to the channel. Hey Rosa, how are you doing? Yeah, I see you, but I can't hear you. We will maintain. We will just stay put until we figure out this network connection. And one of the things that I hope is that we have similar network availability in Africa the way we do here in the US. I think these are some of the discriminations that we need to get rid of. Internet is so expensive in Kenya, and not everybody can afford it, and then there's no infrastructure where it's everywhere, so sometimes it's just difficult to connect. So while we wait for Rosa, we are going to the only Rosa, we will continue on with our conversation here. Brother Earth, how are you doing today, and where are you joining us from?
Peace and love, family. This Brother Earth, coming out of the North Carolina territory, man. And honest to you and all the family again for going back and forth on the wisdom of the ancestors. And when I look at the proverb, what it says to me, um, when you befriend a chief, remember that he sits on a rope. And the way she explained it, I wasn't looking at it that way. I was looking at it as, a chief is on a tightrope. So when you befriend them, being that they're in the public eye, and they're the head of society, it's only so much they could do, or it's only so much you should expect from someone in a position of power. Because, like you said, you wouldn't want to put them in a position for them to jeopardize their position or all that they done worked up or built up to. So that's what I'll say for the proverb today. Peace and love, family. It's Brother Earth.
Peace and love to you, Brother Earth. Thank you so much. I see that we have Lavender on the stage, but Lavender was on the road, so we might not, bring her on. But Lavender, double tap your screen, your mic. I just want to make sure we don't sideline you while you are actually available. So I'll give you a second. Yeah, Lavender told me before the show started that she will not be available to chat today, but I have the only Rosa back here with us. Hey, how are you doing, Rosa? Okay. Yeah, we'll just stay patient until we figure out the connection issue.
I'm just changing my location. I'm trying to...
Okay, I hear you now.
Simon, I'm just changing rooms.
Yeah, that's perfect. Take your time. Yeah, take your time.
This is the most interesting interview I've ever had.
That's good. You're giving us a tour of Nairobi. Where are you exactly, by the way?
Exactly. So I'm in a mall.
Yeah. What's the name of the mall?
Is it too noisy for you?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay,
it's fine.
Okay, I'm good now.
Yeah, that's a perfect spot.
Great.
Yeah. I just want to welcome Edna, who just joined us as well, and Queen and everyone on the stage. We're just going to work with the connection for now. If you're just joining us, my guest is the only Rosa, who is an incredible artist in Nairobi, Kenya. But I think she's a global artist, and I got drawn to Rosa because of the work she was doing. I saw one of your projects earlier on that you did with another amazing artist. I forget his name. Uh,
Japesa.
Japesa, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so before you dropped OnlyFans, I saw one of your songs and I was like, this one is going somewhere. And then I saw you with Susanna Will, you know.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
have a song with Susanna, but it's not out yet.
Yeah, so I just saw things coming so quickly, and then I was like, I have to find a way to interview her because I know you're going to be big very soon. But I also feel that you have a bigger purpose than your music, you know. And I want us to just go back to you breaking down, you know, why the name Rosalind, and you
Yeah.
know, is this your biggest accomplishment, and what makes you proud of it? And also talk about your favorite song on the project.
It's definitely my biggest accomplishment. I think because, first of all, the fact that I was writing most of the songs, and I've had to really grow as a songwriter to this point where I can trust myself to write music that I appreciate. And then also because the people that I worked with on this project, so I worked with some legendary producers, Musyoka, Dili. They're such legendary producers in the Kenyan music industry. And so for me, that really means a lot. And also, my favorite song is actually the Luo song, Oni. I love that song because the song talks about someone who was always, let's say, popular growing up. They were popular, they had a lot of friends. But then suddenly they started making money and they started following their dreams, and they actually ended up being as great as they had imagined. But one thing about Oni is that the people from his home, his neighborhood, they still look up to him. So it's not like he got rich and he got famous and he forgot about them. They actually look at him as a pillar of their community. And to me, I'm Oni. And so in my future, I see myself doing that for my Luo community.
That's so incredible. I feel that you know, being so talented, you know, just listening to your your artistic expression, the way you're expressing yourself along other artists like Bien, who are very very talented. You know, it's clear that you would have chosen to do classical music. You would have chosen to do genge, you know, or
Yeah.
Afrobeat, you know. But you're very specific, and you're just saying it that your goal is to be able to give something back to the Luo community. Why do you care? Why don't you just do something you know, that has nothing to do with the Luos? You know, I know I have an idea why, because I feel like I'm the same, but I want to know.
So I think for us, the way we've all grown up, and I think most Luos, we've never really had something to be fully proud of. So back here, people still prioritize politics, leaders and all that. But for us, one thing that I've learned about the Luo community is that we are very artistically gifted. And so a lot of the musicians that I know, a lot of the artists that I know, even just like people who do anything in the creative arts, a lot of them who I know are actually Luos. And so I thought to myself, how come that's not something that we're even instilling in younger Luos even back home? Like in our villages, we don't have even like a music school, yet it's something that's so natural for us. And so I feel as though it's really something, I don't know why we are good at creative arts, but I guess that's how God planned it out. And I just feel as though it would be an injustice for those of us who are already in that space not to carry it on to the younger ones.
Yeah, that's incredible. I see a lot of powerful Luo women actually listening to this conversation on Clubhouse, and also Kenyan women listening to this conversation. You should really tap the link at the top of the Clubhouse room if you want to see the only Rosa. We are live on YouTube. But also, Rosa, I want to make sure you share with everyone who is watching and listening, where can they listen to Onyi, but also where can they listen to your entire album? And I then want you to listen for like 5 or so minutes. After you share where they can listen to your album, I want to invite a few people who are listening to this show to just give us a few comments, and then after that, you will share how people can stay connected with you, how people can support you, but also talk about anything that I didn't ask that you really want to speak about.
Okay, so you can get my music on all digital platforms on Spotify, Apple Music, Audiomack, Deezer. Rosaland is the name of the album, and my artist name is The Only Rosa. And on YouTube as well, I have some of my previous work.
Excellent, excellent. Now, Richmo, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And to everyone who is listening in on Clubhouse, make sure you share the link to the room with your community, and also join us on YouTube, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Now, my guest today is the Only Rosa, but also we have listeners and people who have joined us on Clubhouse who want to contribute their voice to this conversation. So I'm just going to quickly check in with Lavender. If you're available, just double tap your mic, then I'll give you space. I know that you are traveling. Okay. Hey, Lavender.
Hi, Simon.
Hey, go
Hi,
ahead.
everyone.
Hi, Lavender.
Rosa, it's amazing to hear your voice,
Thank
and
you.
I'm looking forward to listen more. And I'm so excited. I'm meeting a superstar already, so I'll be talking about you, tapping people and telling them. By the way, I know Rosa. I know Rosa.
Yes,
Anyway,
we're
I'm
officially
on the
friends.
road. we are proud of you already.
Thank you.
Anyway, Simon, I'm on the road, but I'm listening in. I have a couple of other people listening in as well.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for being here with us. Let's go to Stella. Stella, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts in regards to this proverb, or any comments to my special guest, the Only Rosa?
Hi Simon. Hi everyone. This is Stella from
Hi.
Kenya. Hi Rosa. I must admit that I clicked the YouTube link on Clubhouse just to come and see your face. Big up on the good work you're doing. And I'm meeting you for the first time. So definitely I'm going to check you out on the platforms and listen to your content.
Thank you.
Um,
Please do.
regarding yeah. And regards to today's proverb, I also want to relate it to a saying that says, if you rattle a snake, you must be prepared to be bitten by it. And basically, I think it's trying to tell us that you have to tread carefully on whatever you're doing. Like if you're befriending a chief and you at the same time you intend to break the law or something like that, you should be prepared, because if it's a really good chief, then I don't think they would let you go because you're their friend. They would definitely pull the rope on you. So I think it's more about discipline and emphasizing on discipline. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you so much, Stella. I love that. I love that. We are learning a lot, and I want to continue on and bring on Queen so that Queen can share, and then Richmo. Then we come back to you, the Only Rosa. Queen, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts on the proverb? And any comments to my guest are welcome too.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I am in Canada at the moment, and I am so touched and humbled by Rosa's voice. I've never heard of her, but I will certainly be checking her out. I have to say, there's a certain humility that I detect in her voice. And far too often, we have musicians who, they make it to a place, and there's a certain amount of haughtiness that comes with it, and it's like they forget where they're coming from. And so, my dear sister Rosa, I have to say congratulations, and I know that you will make it. In fact, you have made it big already, and I look forward
Thank
to
you.
checking out your music and passing it on. For the proverbs, I don't have my glasses. I'm squinting. I'm sorry. When you befriend a chief, remember that he sits on a tightrope. I believe that sometimes when people that we know make it, let's say you become a chief or a president or whatever it is, oftentimes, sometimes we would forget ourselves and we're looking to see what we can get. But I believe that we have a moral responsibility to make sure that when our friends get in a position of power, that we help to keep them grounded and make sure that their moral integrity is not jeopardized. I believe that we should not take it lightly when one becomes a chief or someone in position. We should do everything in our power to make sure that our communities are represented and that the chief never forgets his or her beginning.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that, Queen. Now we have Richmo is going to be our last contributor. Rosa, I hope you're noting some of the nuggets being shared by our contributors
I
today. But quickly, I
I
want to give a shout
am.
out to Latanja, who just joined us, and also Thomas. Thank you for being here. And to everyone listening in, I have a special guest joining us all the way from Nairobi, Kenya. The only Rosa is my guest. If you want to see her face, join us on YouTube and also listen in on Apple Podcasts, where the African Father in America podcast is actually a 5-star rated podcast, and we have over 150,000 downloads. So you have to subscribe to the podcast on Apple. I'm just actually surprised by the growth that we're having on Apple Podcasts. So if you want to help keep it going, you can do that. But also, we are going to write a blog post about this episode, the way we do with all the other episodes. So remember to read it. If you want to subscribe to the blog, go to my Instagram profile. There's a link there that will help you get to today's blog and also the other blogs that we publish Monday to Friday after these episodes. Richmo, how are you, brother? And where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts or comments to my guest?
Hey, Simon. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody else, depending on where they are. And Simon, a great shout out to you, your hosts, Rosa. What a privilege and an honor to be in this room and share ideas with great thought leaders. And Simon, again, thanks for keeping the consistency. It shows the true virtue of statesmanship and leadership. This topic today is so soothing to me because you just came out from an election in the country, and though the the desires of many may others may have been met, others not met. I'm not a politician, but one thing I do know in politics, there are no friends, only acquaintances, and politicians don't have friends. They only have best interests. I think that's the one thing you think when you see this topic, that when you befriend a chief, you're actually befriending interest. Now, peradventure, you will know the chief prior to their being put in office. That's a different topic. That's a topic for another day. But I will say that if we exercise self-discipline, Kipchoge talks about it a lot, vitamin N. If you inject yourself each day with vitamin N, you have a greater chance of having self-discipline. And that N stands for no, having the ability to know when to say no and putting your priorities straight, whether to a chief, to a king, to a statesman, to a leader. This ability of having self discipline actually makes you free. And I've gotten over time the privilege of interacting with legislators here. I was away removed from that, but one individual told me proximity to power sometimes can show you your inner demons or your greater angels, because there's affluence, there's the power of influence. But when you are with the chief or without a chief, it is important to know where you range on your no. is your no compromise, because whatever you compromise to keep, you lose. And so, and that's what I put out. Oprah Winfrey talks about it a lot. When you go to work or you're going to see your employer and you see them of the first day, whatever reaction or actions you see in them, or whatever personality you get in them, chances are they are the person they say they are. They may not change. Look at that in your meter of life. Measure that and see, can this compromise your no? Or will you be that no person from day one to day finish? And so this is a great point to really self-reflect and know that your influence also has a statesmanship, has a place in the realms of chiefs. And chances are they might rely on you sometimes. So there's a place I read that says, remove wickedness from a king, and, and there'll be great happiness in the city. So if you are that individual who might be close to the chief, know that the chances that you'll be dejected or rejected because of your self-discipline, and but also know that there are chances that you can be elected and put in close quarters to be the counsel that they need. Richmo, and I land my plane.
Thank you, Richmo. Where are you joining us from today, Richmo?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I'm in Maryland today, great city of Baltimore, and some operation. That's great to be here.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you for your words of wisdom. I'm just so inspired. There's no better way to end the week than being here with you all. And I have to say that sometimes it's hard to maintain this rigor of producing an episode Monday to Friday. But I love it too, because without that, I would not be listening to everything you just said, Richmo. Anyway, the only Rosa, what did you hear that moved you? And after that, I want us to talk about how people can stay connected with you and support your amazing work.
I think everything they said, Rich Most, I think it was Stella. I think everything they said really resonated with me because I didn't even think of the proverb from that perspective, whereby should you be the one who finds yourself in such a position of leadership or power, then you need to know that you're literally walking a very thin line. And so you need to be, your values and your principles need to be upright, for lack of a better. You need to be upright because it's very easy to veer off. So I feel very encouraged by the messages that I've had.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So let's say someone is watching and they say that I really want to support the Only Rosa, not just by watching and listening to their music, but I want to stay connected. I want to invest in their talent. How do they connect with you and what should they do?
You can connect with me on my social media pages. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. The Only Rosa, Rosa. That's my name everywhere. And I'm always up for a chat. So please reach out. And I hope you enjoy my music as well.
I have to say that that's exactly how I reached out to Rosa, and that's how we connected on Instagram. So she's saying something that is truthful, and it's also humbling what Queen said about you. A lot of artists, you reach out to them, they don't actually engage, they don't respond, and that's something that you do really well. And so, congratulations on that. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, is there something I didn't ask you that you want to share with everyone who is listening and watching?
Not really. I feel as though you've covered a lot of the things I would like to talk about, but I would also just want to say thank you so much for the support that you guys, let's say in the diaspora, give to people like us who are back home. To be honest, it's really encouraging and motivating just knowing that whatever we do here is appreciated not only by the people around us. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Of course. Yeah, keep up the good work, and I can't wait. I can't wait for us to do great things together. In terms of music, in terms of looking for opportunities for each other, and really in terms of making our country and our motherland great. So, you have a nice rest of your shoot. You're going back to the shoot, right?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
going back to the shoots. But also, I just want you to note, I'll definitely be back on this podcast on a day when my phone is not failing me.
Hey, listen, Ross, I would love to have you more consistently. So just, just let me know. I'll follow up after this so that we connect. But I'm really looking for, young African, trendsetters and people who are doing what you're doing on the show, because I can only have, people who think like me. But that won't really grow what we are trying to do. As I was saying earlier, I'm a father of three girls. Not long ago I was the youngest person in every company I was working for, or in every situation that I was in. But I'm realizing that, like you're saying, I'm not doing this for myself. So if I'm not doing this for myself, and I'm not inviting people that can make it easy for my daughters to say, now I'll listen to daddy's podcast because the only Rosa was there. There are people who will only tune in because they know that you pay attention, and the only people who will pay attention to your music because they know that I pay attention. So there is something in us working together. So I appreciate that, that comment. And now to my special guests who've been listening to me, be Edna, Latanja, Annette, and I also see AHD. Thank you for being here. To the contributors, from Brother Earth, Richmo, Queen, Stella, Lavender, thank you so much. And now, those who are on YouTube, thank you. I see you. I haven't really given you all a proper shout out, but it's been wonderful being here with you all. And this marks the end of our show here today. The Only Rosa, you have a nice weekend. I'll connect with you soon. Asante.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Have a
Bye.
nice weekend.
Take care. Bye. Peace.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.